We are back with a new season, new characters, and a new letter of the alphabet as the Mutant Underground struggles to continue their mission and the Hellfire Club's inner circle takes steps to create a world of their own. It's the dawn of the mutant age on the Season 2 premiere of The Gifted. Episode 1, eMergence. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome back to a brand new season of The Gifted, our nice weekly dose of mutant excitement. So, hope you had a wonderful little summer vacation. It is time to dive back into our big fall show. I have to say, first off, spoiler warning, yada yada yada. This is where it comes. Anyway, so let's actually kind of dive in straight away into things. Now, often with a show's freshman season, we are working through the kinks. You know, they're kind of trying to find their way. They're establishing characters. They're making some mistakes, maybe choosing a couple different directions, sort of seeing what sort of works the best. So usually by the time we get into season 2, a lot of those stumbles kind of get smoothed out. There seems to be a much stronger idea of what the show wants to be and where it wants to go, what it wants to build on top of. So I was really kind of looking forward to seeing how they were going to establish things straight off here in this season 2 premiere. And I have to say, in some ways, a little bit disappointed, mainly from the drama standpoint. If you liked emotional family drama from the first season, well, you got a certain double dose of it coming up here in season 2. Really have seemed to have doubled down on that whole idea. I mean, last season, it was the Strucker family. You know, we've got the new mutant kids. We've got the parents that are now being excised from the world around them. They're having to find their footing, their new way inside of this new conflicted world. And a lot of concern, you know, a lot of that family drama. Are the kids okay? Are the parents okay? Are we all going to stick together? And especially poor Amy Acker seemed to have suffered the brunt of that a lot of last season. And I love Amy Acker. But Caitlin Strucker here, well, at least last season, was definitely a lot of the family angst. And that does continue, unfortunately, a bit much into this season. And they've spread it out. I mean, not only we have the Strucker family drama, we, of course, you know, before it was, are they going to stick together? Now it's down to, what about Andy? Are we going to find Andy? We're going to get Andy. We can get the family back together. And then you have Marcos and Lorna, who have split up. And now Marcos is worried about his kid coming out. And he's got a lot of the big family angst happening. Now, Blink and Thunderbird, I mean, they got a little relationship going on. Not a lot of angstiness going on there. But you wait. It's going to happen. Plus, we have the new kid who has lost her sister that is going to, again, be establishing a lot of family drama going on there. And wow, Sentinel Services really has stepped up their game, haven't they? Just taken out those parents straight off. They're not looking to capture so much. If you stand in their way, they will take you out. So that tension has certainly ratcheted up. So let's start things off with our new characters. And principally we're looking at Reeva here, the kind of new head of the inner circle, with the power of extreme halitosis. Oh yes, she's got breath that's so bad it will knock you on your butt and disrupt your very ability to concentrate. I'm kidding, of course. Her power definitely seems to be more sonic-based there. We're not talking like power of Banshee level or anything like that, but certainly effective. You know, can shake the glass. But I think what's really doing is disrupting the inner ear balance there. You know, the ability to, you know, your sense of balance and ability to concentrate. Certainly took out Dragon Ball Z there. You know, trying to Kamehameha abilities didn't really work, and glowing eyes got knocked out pretty quick. So I mean, we're establishing here a kind of new direction with the Hellfire Club, apparently. But I have to say, for an inner circle there, not a very tough group of individuals. I mean, that was taken out pretty quick. I mean, I guess when you're in the inner circle, you're not necessarily expecting your fellow mutants there to attack. Though, if we look kind of more of a historical Hellfire thing and the constant meanderings and plannings and backstabbings and stuff that go on, they should have been a little bit more prepared. Got taken out pretty quick. I mean, Esme and her sisters didn't even have to use their, psychic powers to disrupt anyone. It was just, a little shouting, a little and they went right down. I mean, even when she turned her head, the people on the other side of the room didn't do anything to attack. It's just... I don't know. I guess we're showing as Reeva's strength, her power. I just thought that, again, for an inner circle, they got taken out pretty quick. But we are looking at, again, new directions here. One of the things that were brought up was the new mutant home, the home for mutants, which seems to be what Reeva is going for. I guess that was looked at and dismissed. And that was one thing that I was kind of wondering where they were going here, especially with our sort of change of letters. Last season it was all the X that were being used in all of the titles. This season it's more of the M. And I guess that would make sense as more of a mutant term. Though I have to say, I was kind of wondering for a minute if we might be going more of like a House of M direction. But we don't have any of the characters that we can really use for that, and there certainly isn't any idea of like reality bending and forming new worlds, which is sort of the whole basis for a House of M in the comics. So not really anything like that. But yes, forming a new mutant homeland, might we be looking at a Genosha type of idea here? Or is it just sort of disrupting the whole power structure, again, making mutants the dominant form on the planet? So that's more of an idea of where they seem to be going for with this. But there was one little thing that I was kind of wondering. We did get the reference to Atlanta and her apologies for not informing the council of what they were doing there, which is good. And I gotta say, I do like the sort of 6-month jump that we have sort of a time frame where you can really have established a whole different setup and really start things off kind of new. But I was kind of hoping there would be some reference at least to whether or not they really had taken out the Hound program after the death of Dr. Campbell. That seemed to have been the whole plan there, but did they then go after the lab and disrupt all of the research, the ability that they had to sort of combine powers, which of course are the Strucker Kids' whole basis there? That would have just been something I would have liked to have seen. I mean, I think we're getting more of our classic trifecta of powers. We've got the evil mutants versus the good mutants and kind of Sentinel services, the Sentinels and Earth and the humans kind of in the middle, sort of working in this big triangular bit. With the whole Hound program, that added a different level to it. And not one that I think... I like that they hit it. I would have liked for them to move on, get some new ideas. Certainly get back to maybe some Sentinel bots. The premiere episode from season 1. We saw a little bit of that and then nothing more, and maybe that's just a budget thing. But there was just one of those little things that I would like to have known. Did they take care of that and now they can sort of move on? Or are we going to have some sort of Hound resurgence coming up later on in the season? I don't think so, but it would have been a nice thing that they could have easily, with just a throwaway line, have taken care of and saying, oh yeah, but we took care of the Dr. Campbell and the research. We don't have to worry about any more of the Hound program coming after us. That would have been something I think that would have been really nice to just sort of settle and allow season 2 here to really go on to its own new directions. But of course, the Inner Circle does have a couple of new members, returning characters for us, and that is Lorna and Andy. Polaris and Andy. He doesn't have a new name yet. The Strucker Kid, I guess, pretty soon. And I have to say, I mean, I like this again. I like that jumping forward here, that we're getting right into the whole birth idea and the complications for someone of Polaris's strength. that's going to have to deal with. We did imply how her pregnancy has increased her powers, and now we're seeing much more of those bigger effects. Didn't think that was a totally convincing pregnancy suit, though, for Lorna. Looked like she had a giant red ball stuff underneath her shirt like that. Was just didn't look pregnant-like. Looked more like a giant ball underneath there. But I have to say, I did like the connection that we have between Lorna and Andy. That in some ways they're the only two that can sort of rely on each other, and they're sort of forming this little bond. I like that decision, especially since the two of them really are new to this whole inner circle, the whole inner workings, maybe not totally trusting the people around them, certainly having their doubts on the Cuckoo sisters there, and Reeva seems to definitely have a plan on their own. So in some ways, these are the only two people that they can each rely on. So I like the fact that they've sort of built up upon that. Don't know why Andy changed his hair color. Is it just a stylistic thing? Or is it just kind of trying to hide identities? They haven't really dived into that too much yet. So I'd be kind of curious to see what the whole reasoning and idea behind that is. But it gives him a different look. He's in a new place, and embracing a new side of himself, really. So I guess overall it works. I don't have a complaint against it. Just kind of curious about it. But dealing with that pregnancy, the whole birth is kind of central to what's going on the inner circle in this episode. And to do so, looking for a safe place for a woman that can control magnetics to give birth, especially if she's sort of freaking out with her powers, having these giant pulling cars around and stuff as contractions and kicks happening. So the idea of the armory, I liked. Giant concrete structure. Of course, as concrete's made, it's filled with rebar, so that's not really removing a lot of the metal. But again, the idea behind it, and it's sort of what I thought it would be, is that we're trying to find a safe place to sort of minimize the extent of her powers going on. Didn't exactly work out that way, and I would have thought that the inner circle, especially knowing how long she has been pregnant and maybe looking forward at seeing how her pregnant strength has sort of blossomed with the magnetics, might have gotten a hold of this place a little bit sooner. There was the one thing that kind of struck me. When they showed the new armory, I was like, oh, okay, they have found a location where she can give birth. But then they have to go buy it, or not buy it. Have everybody walk away. And that seemed odd to me. Even with a boatload of cash to give the guy in charge and just say there's a spill and shut down and never come back and never talk about it again. You're the inner circle. They go into the fact that they've got money all over the place, that they're very well established. Why didn't they buy this ahead of time? Why not do it legally? Why do the whole disruption? I mean, you could say that there's a spill and you send everybody away. Aren't people going to be asking about their jobs later on? I mean, and if this is a temporary thing, then, I mean, that's one idea, but that whole scene to me seemed a little messy. It just seemed to have involved a lack of forethought, of foresight into what they needed. And just bribing, I mean, why doesn't Esme convince the guy that he ran away? I mean, is money actually easier in that sense? I mean, then you've got kind of a liability out there who knows who he sold it to. I don't know. For a powerful inner circle, that seemed to be kind of a messy way of establishing things. That's just me. Now, our Mutant Underground, though they've been sort of decimated, has trying to move on with their basic mission. And this is one of those things I was kind of wondering how things were going to fall out with them. I like the idea that because of what happened in Atlanta, because of the kids blowing up the mutant headquarters there, that everybody thinks that they're dead. And so they have to kind of live these little shadowy lives. I think that's a good idea. I like that kind of concept that now they're on their own. They're smaller. The whole idea of this giant mutant HQ, and they've always got people coming in and moving around, seemed, again, too much, because you should have always a lot more mutants that you can call upon, and yet they never seem to. It was just sort of a way station, and even when they were filled up with people, we never really seemed to have anybody else that could help. Now, when we've got this small, tight little group that maybe rescues people but immediately sends them on to some other place, I think it's a much more efficient. I really like that choice for them doing. And then also, again, they've got to kind of doubly hide out now. They've got to hide their identities, and they've got to kind of keep themselves low and unnoticeable so they don't draw too much attention to themselves. And kind of doing some new jobs. Caitlin is back working in a hospital, which I guess allows her to work on some of the wounded mutants that they catch up in their gathering, defending people against all of the Sentinel raids that are going on. And I have to say, that took me sort of a moment to sort of figure out what was going on. At first, I thought this might be like a mutant hospital. But that didn't really seem to be the case, especially with the powers only being used just when Caitlin was alone by herself. And of course, she had to go into the secret room inside the radiation storage area and pull on the thing in the back and open the secret door to go in to where Reed was doing his radio work, keeping an ear on things, looking out for mutants in trouble. Now, good that Caitlin's got a place to work, got some options there. Why Reed is in a secret room in this hospital, since they seem to have their own little kind of HQ there in the surplus salvage yard there. Wasn't really sure with that. That seemed a little extra. Again, there's like a lot of ideas that are going on in this show, in this episode, but there seems a little messy. It doesn't seem like everything is really sort of thought through, which, as I said, moving into a second season, I would have thought that they would have gotten this a little bit more worked out. So, still not sure if the hospital is connected with the Mutant Underground in some way, a place that they could work, or if that really is just sort of a secret thing, and then, again, why Reed's got a secret room hidden back for his radio work, I don't know. That is one curious thing that I have. Then we have Lauren, who is working in a shelter, able to make some connections in there, and also probably a way to help move some of the kids and such through. So they're getting their jobs, they're getting their connections to sort of help work out what they're doing, as well as search for Andy, which is definitely a big push that we've got going on here. And they noticed a very interesting sort of similarity happening between the Mutant Underground here and the Inner Circle. While Reeva was lashing out, cooing against an old established Inner Circle with this upset that she was making choices on their own, not referring to them, going with things that they'd already looked at and dismissed. We've got sort of the same thing that was going on with the Mutant Underground too, especially with Marcos connecting in with Wire there. That mutant, I gotta say, man, I loved his little connection in with the computers and stuff. That was a really well done power set. Simple, but cool looking. And in fact, mostly I enjoyed that whole sequence there also, I have to say, going into the Hacker Collective there and the sort of face-off with that. It's making Caitlin be a little bit tougher. She's doing a little bit more hands-on. I appreciate that. And there was just sort of an edge to that scene that I wish they would lean into a little bit more. But like I said, he's making those connections, which apparently, according to Reed and Thunderbird, they've already discussed and dismissed. And why is he going into that? So, again, we've got two different parties, both in the Inner Circle and in the Mutant Underground, that are kind of rebelling against each other, their own little groups, rather. Just a little bit of edginess. Just notice a certain similarity between the two groups going on right there. But of course, Marcos is very passionate about getting to his kid. We can understand why he would feel so. And again, it's continuing that family drama like I had talked about. We have the Struckers worried about Andy. We've got Marcos worried about Lorna. It's just, again, a lot of family drama going on. Oh, and Lauren, of course, which I wanted to be sure to get onto. A little connection there with Andy. And I think that was a nice. I think that was a nice sequence because I was sort of expecting for a moment, oh, Mom and Dad are all worried about Andy and trying to search things out, but Lauren and Andy have this sort of secret connection. They're sort of keeping track of each other. So I was thinking for a moment, wow, okay, Lauren is connecting up with Andy. She's connecting up with her brother. They've got some sort of subtle communication that's going on there. But no, well, yes and no. Certainly not the real life that we thought we saw that connection in with the parking scene. But definitely more of a psychic connection. And of course, we as the audience know that there's a certain truth to that straight away because Andy looks like Andy does now. Andy has the blonde hair and the cool black coat and everything that we've seen over there in the inner circle. For Lauren, this is all new. So if it was just a dream, she would be seeing Andy as he was, not as he is now. So as the audience, it sort of immediately clues us on that there is an actual connection going on, though they're not, Lauren for sure isn't very certain about the truth of it. Feels right, but there's still a little sort of question up in the air, which I have to say I did kind of like. It does sort of keep things a little bit interesting. And as a brother and sister that do have that power link, much like their great-grandfather and his sister did, we can get to see that there's additional levels that's going on with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to sort of expand out as well. Though family-wise, we have Reed also discovering his own mutant powers. If you remember, Dad, as a kid, had given him his serum to try and suppress that mutant gene, that X gene, and it seems to have held for a while. But honestly, and I was kind of expecting this since we learned back in season 1 about it, that this is not going to hold for too long, and certainly now it seems to be starting to fall away. So we're adding a whole new level of drama going on with that. I did appreciate that he attempted to tell his wife what was going on before the episode ended. I don't mind the drama, I don't mind the hiding things, as long as they get over them very quickly. If this is something that starts to get dragged out for too long, then it starts to seem very false. And what do you think? Stress starting to put that on? Is it just time? Because it seems to be whenever something stressful happens, that seems to kick things off, which might be why he keeps trying to calm down Caitlin and Lauren and everything on what their expectations are in finding Andy. Perhaps in a way he's trying to calm himself, calm the family down to maybe suppress that mutant gene from expressing itself just a little bit longer. All right, and the whole birthing scene I thought was, I don't know, had some good points and bad points. Kind of like the entire episode from my point of view. I love the intensity. I love the powers being thrown off. I love the whole idea of like the electrical system for the city going off, and that Marcos can sort of recognize Lorna's powers going, having been with her for so long at the length of their relationship. Very cool light shows. All that was great. I loved Andy sort of stepping up there when it seemed, because we've got a lot of that discussion between Esme and Reeva there, a lot of whispering in ears, reasons to be concerned. So I like the fact that Andy sort of stepped up in that moment, was like, look, what are you guys talking about? I need to know. We need to be straight about this. I liked his idea of, again, that defense of Lorna, holding that kind of connection between the two of them. I really did appreciate. Now, the idea that she's not dilated out of some sort of mental block, I didn't buy at all. If she doesn't want to push or anything, there's something like that. I mean, that seems more of a, that makes sense from a mental standpoint. The fact that she's not dilated, that's physiological. That's got nothing to do with that's got nothing to do with her mental state. So that seemed kind of like, what? So with Esme coming, I mean, we had, to me, there was kind of two options. You're having trouble getting birth, it's one of two things. One, Esme comes, psychic powers, calms her down, or C-section. Happens in hospitals all the time. Okay, maybe difficulty, you can't use a metal scalpel with her, but still, I would have thought they would have planned ahead, would have had some options. But no, they go for a whole psychic vision of the future. Or, again, I don't think it's a psychic vision, I think it is a mental imagery of what Esme and the Cuckoo Sisters and Reeva all think that they need to show Lorna, a false future memory, as it were, of mutants standing tall and Lorna being there in front there, the big banners of, I'm assuming, X genes coming down on the White House over in front of the Capitol there. Yeah. Okay, nice, bright future. This is the world that we want to see, and this is what's going to overcome that block. Cheesy. Really cheesy. Unnecessarily so. And I gotta say, calling the kid Dawn, because it's the dawn of the mutant age, also very cheesy. But, okay, fine with that. And we had, again, the big power thing, and that's motivating Marcos to go and Thunderbird to track him down and follow the scenes and see where it's going, and using that whole sequence. I thought that was cool also. From a conceptual idea. From an actual idea. Wouldn't anybody else have noticed that? They're in Washington, D.C. Sentinel Services is upping their raids. They're looking out for mutants, and there seems to have been no follow interaction, nothing going on. Even the whole armory there, it's got power lines coming down and things flying through the air and so on. Isn't somebody going to notice that? I mean, shouldn't you have gotten a place that was out in the middle of nowhere? Not in the middle of the nation's capital? Again, some of these ideas are very cool. The executions of them, very lazy. And I'm hoping that they kind of get over this. Because, seriously, traffic helicopters should have been noticing stuff. They should have been tracking down. Oversight air. Look, this is the center of where all this is going. Maybe we should send some people. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of crew that the inner circle is holding on for security-wise. So, and again, not being subtle in that. So, cool ideas, execution, definitely has some issues with. I mean, they've got attention now. There should be a whole bunch of Sentinel services and cops and fire trucks and military heading right for that armory. And there's giant holes in it now, so it's not like it's going to hold anyone off. All right, just a couple of small, quick things. One, the Cadillac SUV, the black Cadillac SUV, still very popular with our mutant crew. We saw a bit of those last season, and now they seem continued on. I mean, if you're going to travel, I guess travel in style. Blink needs her eyes for her powers. That's a cool little bit of insight right there. I like the idea of using contacts to look a little bit more normal. The purple hair is still a bit of a giveaway, but yeah, contacts, a little bit of makeup to cover up the scar. Cool idea, but that doesn't inhibit her use of powers. I like her idea that she needs her eyes, her actual eyes. That's how she sees the energies, how she's able to manipulate them and open up those portals. So, very small little bit of info, but very insightful. Something I really enjoyed hearing. Oh, and Reed's emerging powers look very cool, very scary, very creepy, like worms and things crawling up in their arms and so on. I really want to know what his power set's going to be. I'm looking forward to that. But I gotta say, I love how they're doing that. That is a very cool little sequence, and just some of the visuals. Again, there were some really great visuals between that, like I said, Wire's kind of abilities with manipulating the technology and the computers and stuff. There was some really nice insight. They don't have to do anything big and flashy, but small stuff like that, very cool. Please, let us see more of it. All right, well, I have been talking for quite some time. I think it's time to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining me on this review. Just one little bit of notice here. This Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific over on Enchantment of Eternity, another YouTube channel here, we'll be doing the Enchantment of Eternity Trivia Challenge. It's kind of like a Schmodown, but without any of the schmoes. Just a small group of us. It's going to be myself, Josh from Geeksiders, Acton Tomco. Mark's going to be running the show, so he's not going to be doing any of the challenges. I did one of these about a month ago, a little more than. Did pretty well. Ended up losing to Dawn Willie. So I'm going to try and hopefully succeed on this one so I can set up a kind of a showdown again with Dawn and see if I can take the title of Trivia Champion. Anyway, so it's this Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific, over at Enchantment of Eternity. As soon as I have a link, I'll put it down in the description below. Hopefully you guys can join us live. It's a good time. You can join in. You can be part of the challenging. We will run a little sub challenge there inside the chat group, so it'll be fun. Maybe you'll beat my pants off, and then you can let me know how much I suck. So that's going to be it for me. Again, thank you so much for joining me on this review. Please give me your thoughts. What did you guys think of the episode? You like it? You not like it? You looking forward to the rest of the season? Throw your ideas down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Quick and easy, hit this button. You'll catch this whole season, and we'll throw up a couple of reviews you can check out right here. So, that's it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.